testosterone, we have a problem.
This is Outside the Manosphere, where two guys grow their bromance,
non-toxic bromance,
their non-toxic bromance, by exploring masculinity, manosphere culture, and joy in the stupidest timeline.
Join us.
Welcome to Outside the Manosphere. I'm Skip.
And I'm Carlos.
Our main topic for the day is body count. But first, what's your news item for the day, Carlos?
My news item for the day is just in as of last night. You probably know all about it. The Attorney General Ken Paxton of Texas defeated Senator John Cornyn of Texas in the Republican primaries, which sounds super boring, but it is very, very important.
Yeah.
Ken Paxton is just littered with scandal, and he's a gross human being, and he's MAGA to the bone now, which, you know, when you say MAGA to the bone, I think the only people who are really MAGA to the bone are the ones who are voting. Those are the guys that are like really MAGA. I think everyone else is just performative. But anyway, yeah, exactly. And he beat a 20-year senator, John Cornyn. Like he's just been a fixture there for so fucking long. And he's not a great guy either, but like he's at least stable and like classically Republican. Gone. And now he's going to be.
This is just in the primaries, but yeah.
Yeah, this is just in the primaries. And now Ken Paxton's going to be up against James Tallarico. I put a link to a barbedwire.com article listing Ken Paxton's scandals. And actually, let me quickly just zip through them.
Yeah, there's some pretty bad ones.
So I'm not going to go into detail, but just like a quick list of some of his scandals, and we'll link you to the article that I found. He's failing to disclose his investments, which he profited from. This was in 2008. While he was in office, he also, sounds petty, but he stole another lawyer's pen. And that was, but this pen is $1,000 pen that went missing during like a security check. That was in like a tray. The guy forgot it. And then when he like inquired about it, because it was a gift from his wife, they checked the security cameras and the guy pocketed it. He stole $1,000 pen. Anyway, gave it back. That's kind of a little red flag. Accused of security exchange fraud in 2015, which was, I think, settled, but he had to do a payout. He has an FBI investigation of bribery and abuse of office in 2020. Sued for firing whistleblowers. There was a payout there as well. He is a 2020 election denier. He had an impeachment trial by Republicans in the state of Texas impeached him. And he's in the process of being divorced for infidelities by his wife. His wife is also, I believe, a state senator or a state representative who did not endorse him in this Senate struggle. So, yeah,
not a great sign when your own party impeaches you.
Yeah. Check it out. We'll have the link to it. So anyway, that's who's up against James Tallarico, which I'm also linking to. He's a Democrat. He's a young guy, 37. He's a pastor, I believe. He's a deeply religious, but like...
He's a nice young boy.
He's a healthily religious, nice young boy. I'm fully behind. And we'll link you to his thing if you want to donate $5 or whatever to his campaign. He'll be going up against a demon of a candidate in Ken Paxton. So that'll be in November. So that's
shit golem.
A shit golem. Yeah, he is made of shit. Anyway, so what's your news item?
Yeah, mine is just that. I mean, it seems trite, but it's hot. It's hot, and actually, it's like mind-bogglingly hot in Europe. Me and my wife were kind of like, "Geez, it's really hot suddenly," because the weather's been nuts, which we can look forward to for the rest of our lives. But then I saw a story about the actual like smashing of heat records currently in Europe. And basically there's a heat dome, which is sort of like putting a lid on the stove, and it just presses all the hot air down. So normally this is a 1 in a century event, and now it's about a 3 times in a century event. And that'll probably only speed up as shit gets crazier.
Yeah.
But in like London, it was 95 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow.
Normally the high is 68. That's a huge goddamn increase. And it's hot everywhere. Obviously, like this is our weather here. And I don't know what it's been off the top of my head, but we were like oh Jesus, it's gonna be a hot as shit summer if this is May. So yeah, we're starting to think ahead and being like, well, we're gonna have to get like a air conditioner for the kids' room because they are gonna get overheated if it's like this. Most places don't have air conditioners, so you get those little room boxes with a hose that goes out the window.
Yeah, and these Europeans, man, they have no defenses for these heat waves. It's so unusual unless it's like Greece or something or Spain. But like, yeah, they just drop like flies, and whether they're like to death, and whether they're
Yeah.
elderly or middle aged or young, it's extremely dangerous for all these people that don't know how to behave in this type of weather.
Yeah, south of Spain is supposed to get up to up into the hundreds this
Wow.
week,
Yeah.
which it's like, man, it's spring. It's not even
Yeah,
summer.
and that's like you
Brutal.
breathe. It's like you're breathing in heat. I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with that in Nevada. But,
Yeah,
like, yeah, on those hot days, it's like you feel the heat in your lungs. It's an
yeah.
unusual experience, but it's what's happening right now.
So anyway, try to do something nice for the climate today because it's real, it's happening, and it's happening faster than they're modeling, which is not good. But we can, I always tell and I encourage people to vote with their dollars because people don't really care as much how you vote in elections because they've kind of got it narrowed down to these two parties, and both of the parties have a lot of moneyed interests with businesses. So, like, the best way that you can vote is with what you purchase and how you spend your money. And if you can keep things local, if you can keep things and, green or environmental products where you're like, it's basically cutting out some of the customer base because there's, you don't want as much shipping or whatever. All of that is helpful. Like, I really encourage people to think about how they're spending. I know that like times are tight and stuff, but like the more you can think about your money as your vote, that is like a really good way to think about it because it's really what businesses give a shit about. They don't give a shit about
Yeah,
as well.
that's the only way anything will change, and not just business, government as well, because they
Yeah.
respond to business. But I think the important thing to maybe point out for anyone thinking about, like, I don't know, making a change for the environment is that it's inconvenient to do that. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
you have to be
Yeah.
willing to inconvenience yourself. And what I mean is like, okay, I'm going to buy my fruit at this place, and I'm going to buy my vegetables at this place, and I'm
Yeah.
going to get
Yeah.
buy my canned goods here. And it's not. I mean, I made a joke about entering our Costco era last week or the week before. It's super convenient and it's so cheap to do those
Yeah.
things, and it's
Yeah.
hard. It's really really hard, especially
Really is.
if you're having a hard time financially. Like, that's just what you do. But for those of us that can move around a little bit, like, you just got to inconvenience yourself a bit,
Yeah.
and be okay with that, and make it a day or make it an event, and like, oh, I'm going to go shopping at the farmer's market, or I'm going to,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, just take your time and do stuff like that. It doesn't have
Well,
to be all at once.
and shit like shopping at the farmer's market has a couple of benefits. Like you're doing something better for the environment, but you're also supporting local people that are not these little cogs in a giant machine where it's all getting funneled to Jeff Bezos or some shit like that. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he's not even letting people take breaks or get a living wage. Supporting local things is both better for the environment and better for human beings, which is kind of like the upside of what needs to change. Is we need to like radically rethink the way our economy functions because capitalism is not working out. So like straight unadulterated capitalism has really fucked things up because it's all about extractive processes and what you can get out of things
Yeah.
rather than any kind of sustainability. So there's my soapbox.
Well, like we talked about, I think, in the last episode, this isn't an example of unadulterated capitalism. It is deeply adulterated by interference with politics and government. But yeah, you're right, though. At its core, like, it is extractive and it is unstoppable in either direction, whether it's adulterated or not. But yeah, the model we're looking at now is not untampered with, and it's not exactly capitalism as we think it is.
Yeah.
End of my little soapbox rant.
I was actually thinking about this in relation to, Jess and I were talking about last week's episode and love bombing and like how we, you and I get off on our little tangents and then we come back to them and how we were talking about, guys that are doing grand gestures and romantic things and trying to differentiate. And then we came back around to love bombing and she was like, I was glad that you guys got back onto the main subject. And I was asking her, we're having a conversation, and I was like, I don't know if I think that, like, so there are, there are pickup artists that genuinely do kind of like nefarious, manipulative, purposeful things that like love bombing, where it's like a strategy to take advantage of people and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But I was saying, like, I think a lot of people, a lot of like the nefarious things that we talk about, they're more like what you and I did when we were younger, where it's not necessarily this thought out manipulative thing. And that might be the pattern that you're in, and it may be something that you do, but I think a lot of it is just like not thinking about it and not
Right.
self-reflecting. Just kind of like what you were saying with the environment, like where it's just turned off and you're just not paying attention to it. And I think there's a lot of people that do this stuff, and the intent isn't necessarily evil. The manipulation is there. All the terrible things, like that maybe a guy treats his wife really poorly or abuses her, and then he love bombs her to get her back and stuff like that. I think there are times where that is conscious, but I also think it's also part of just how some people function.
Right.
And
It's reactive.
it's reactive. It's not a thought out, intentionally nefarious manipulation
Right.
technique. But the fact that they're not paying attention to it is like part of what I think, when we have these conversations, like I want people to start paying attention to, because I think there's a lot of people, like a lot of the people in the manosphere, they're all pretty terrible. And I think those people that are actual influencers, those are cold, calculated pieces of shit
Yeah.
that are just trying to make money and get eyeballs. But I think a lot of people that end up following them, they're just not being thoughtful. They're trying to act genuinely in the world, and they end up doing a shitty job at it. But a lot of it is because they're not paying attention and they're not self-reflecting and those things. And so like those are the people that I feel like we need to communicate with, because those were the ones that are reachable, I guess. Because they're not doing it just to be shitty. They're being shitty because they don't know any better.
Right. Well, but even so, like these like shitbag influencers, I
Yeah.
think the same applies to them. Like I think they understand the damage they're inflicting at like a topical level. They don't quite.
Mhm.
They're like, yeah, I know that people are being influenced in a negative way by me. I don't care. If they
Right.
really dug down and understood exactly what's happening, I would argue that some of them would care, because I think they just don't think about it in the same way their audience isn't critically thinking about what they're absorbing. You know what I mean? I just don't think,
Yeah.
I don't think people are critically thinking about anything.
Well,
And
yeah.
yeah, I think that's really what it is. One of my favorite like little reels that I have on Facebook and Instagram are these two guys, the Good Liars, and they go to like MAGA rallies and they go to all these like sort of right wing places and they interview people with like American flag capes and like MAGA hats
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
all these things, and they just kind of give them a little bit of rope and they hang themselves. And it's so
Yeah.
funny to watch some of them like sniff it out right away and they're like, I don't want to talk to you, and they storm off. But like
Sure.
you can see some of them like short circuiting when they realize, oh, they're contradicting themselves and they're like talking in a circle and they're all tied
Yeah.
up. Where that goes after the little clip, I don't know, but they're generally not offensive. They just kind of like make these people like talk themselves into a loop, and
Right.
it's interesting. It's really really interesting because they're thinking about what they just said, and I think that's the key to all of it. You just got to think.
I think the one area that I'm going to disagree with you is I think these people that are the influencers in the manosphere, I think they genuinely wouldn't care. I think a lot of them are just sociopathic or
Hmm.
psychopathic, where they literally just don't have empathy for other
Yeah,
people,
yeah.
and
I
their
think there are.
commodities. Yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I think they're there. I think I agree with you, but I give people the benefit of the doubt and at least
sure,
say that some of these guys don't really realize like truly what they're doing.
sure.
I think some of them are just like they see dollar signs and they're like money. I'm going for
Oh
that,
yeah.
and that's shallow and callous and whatever. But like that's their objective, not to like tear anything down or hurt people.
Well, and I think that like you can rationalize so much if you're trying to get that dollar. Like it's just kind of like so easy, I think, to be like, oh, I'm just making a video, and what other people do, that's their problem. Like I'm just putting stuff out there. There's tons of stuff out there. How much of an effect could I be having? But I need to make money, and I got goals and shit like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm sure that they just kind of are able to rationalize if they think about it at all. And I bet most of the time they're not. They're not. They're
yeah.
thinking about they're not thinking about people. They're not thinking about things. They're thinking about how do I get eyeballs? And that's
Yeah.
because
Right.
eyeballs are money.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, little side escapade, but yeah, I don't know. I think we circle around on all these issues, and I always come back to, I feel like the mantra of the show is just like people aren't adulting. People aren't being adults. They're acting like children. They're immature. And like this feels like part of it. I feel like if you're actual mature human being, you do self-reflection and you pay attention. And I just think most people never, maybe not most people, but a lot of people just never get there. They're just not interested. And it's wild to not be interested in yourself.
I don't get it, man. And to be honest, I don't suffer people like that. I don't suffer a lot
Yeah.
of that kind of stuff. I'm not around it. I keep a little bubble around myself. And
Yeah.
when I smell it, I'm like, nope. Which I don't know. It's probably selfish because I think I have talked to people and I have changed minds when I talk to them. So I don't know. I guess I get more involved that way. But it's hard. It's hard when I don't want to engage with minds like that. You know.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Yeah. I'm kind of similar. There are times where I see people that are not like great self-reflection, but they're nice enough and
Sure.
like they're not offensive in any way. And I'm just kind of like, I just kind of mentally noted, I'm like, okay, like this is a fun person to be around. I like them. We can be friends, but like this isn't going to be like a deep friendship. This is going to be like a fun hanging out time. Well, I don't know how much of this will make it in, but I was just talking to Jess about it, and I don't know, we had a fundamentally different, kind of view on it where she was thinking love bombing is always this kind of nefarious thing. And I was like, I don't know if it is. I think that like we've had experiences with a terrible person from our pasts where what I saw was that this person was clearly manipulative, completely malicious, but they were as subject to their whims as everyone around them. They had no control over themselves. And it was part of what we use at times to deal with them and get them in trouble because we were like, well, they're, like this person's going to be shitty. We're going to set up a situation to show how shitty they are and like for court reasons. And it was dependable. So like there's a extent to which I'm like, well, I don't know that this is like a thought out clear manipulation. I think like people just convince themselves of whatever the fuck they believe and they feel what they feel and they do what they do and like it's
I-
shitty and manipulative, but it's not like mastermindy in the way
No.
that love bombing sounds.
It's almost like a survival strategy in some way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're doing that to protect their ego. They're doing that to protect their resources. I don't know, but like they're doing it. They learned that behavior in some way.
Yeah.
And they're not consciously implementing
No.
any of it. Not some
No,
of them
and
do,
they-
as you said, but yeah.
And then they construct some narrative that makes it work for them, where they're like, this is not a bad thing. They don't connect the evil things to the good parts. They're like, well, these are the good things that I offer when they're not seeing that like that's the rope they're using to tie you up.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Well, like we said before, I think like in our cases, and I'll say immaturity for myself all the way into my 30s. It was an immaturity thing. We just like rushed in. And with no filter, no stops, and this here's my love.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And
yeah.
here's an expression of it, and I'm going to bombard you with it so that you love me back. Yeah, I do think love bombing is an unhealthy thing, but I don't always think it's a intentionally manipulative thing.
I agree. And I find so many times when we talk about anything with relationships, like the person I was in my first relationship in high school is so wildly different from anybody I've been since then in any relationship. It's like a completely different human that I'm like, yeah, that person I definitely wasn't malicious at all, but like I had a lot of toxic shit going on in that behavior. And it all stemmed from like just not knowing how to fucking handle it. But then, like grow up, like learn to manage your emotions or else, we'll never have a man president.
That is so funny. All right, Skip. Well, our red flag today is body counts. This was brought to you by your wife, Jess. It was her idea. I think it's a great idea. But maybe we should define what a body count is.
Oh, yeah.
What is a body count?
Body count is your little black book. It's the list of people that you've slept with. It's it's your sexual history.
So I'm not going to ask your body count, and I'm not going to reveal mine, but I am going to ask you: have you ever done the math for yourself?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I have, or at least I had when I was younger. You know,
Yeah.
once you've been married for 11 years, it's kind of
Right,
boring.
right.
Or not married for 11 years, but you know, with the same person for 11 years. Yeah. But when I was younger, for sure. Yeah. And in fact, another lady that I hooked up with, we would like keep running totals, even at, like, we only hooked up for like a couple weeks, and then we kind of just, you know, kept each other in the conversation about things.
That's so funny. You had a woman participating with you.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask then, what was your motivation for kind of keeping track?
I don't know. I think it was fun. I think
Okay. All right.
it wasn't, it was definitely not, you know, I think the first thing that I think of that's very toxic is conquest. It was definitely not a conquest
Yeah.
thing.
Okay.
It was more like sex is fun. And I wanted to have sex with as many nice looking people as I could, you know, nice looking ladies specifically. And, you know, my friend was sort of in a similar boat, but with men. So
Yeah.
we were both just like, alrighty, game on.
She probably could easily defeat you with her,
She
with her.
could quickly have defeated me.
Yeah.
She was more, I'm not going to say she was more choosy, but like we were both being, you know, it wasn't just like whatever came along, we were
Yeah.
going to fuck. It was just like, you know, I have found yet another suitable playmate.
Yeah. Playmate. Well, I think for most men, it is whatever, you know, if your intention is to like put some notches in your belt, it is
Yeah,
whatever comes along. With a woman, they can be selective, is
sure.
as selective as they want, because I mean, it's not unknown that a woman can probably have sex any day of the week if she wants to, with, I mean, point into a crowd, and that man will be the person, you know. Why is keeping track of a body count a red flag to you personally, do you think?
So specifically, like when Jess brought this up, it wasn't about keeping track of body count. It's about keeping track of your mate's body count, and men getting obsessed with women's body count.
Yes.
And like I said, I was playing around with this lady that we both had for that age, not a smallish body count.
Mm-hmm.
We were good friends. I didn't think anything worse of her. But men of the manosphere, it's like a really big deal to have, you know, really any body count at all. You want, like, my understanding is they want, like, not me,
Zero.
but
Yeah.
they want, it's 0. Like, I'm the only man you've ever been with.
Ignore my 200 bodies behind me.
Yeah, they wish.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, that reminds me, dude. We were watching Love Island or some gross like reality show where it's just like 20-year-olds licking each other. It's just gross. I don't watch it anymore. I'm like, don't even know I was going to watch it. I'm like, this is disgusting. Like, I don't want to watch this anymore. But like, they would have segments. They would have like these challenges or whatever, where like you had to guess this, or in this case, you had to guess their body count. And the men were always, and I've used complete bullshit, but they were like 100 or 150 plus. And I'm like, you have not fucking slept with 150 women at age 26 or age 22. Right. Like, I do not believe you. But they had like that shy, like, oh, silly me. Yeah, 100 women. And like the women, you know, it was a higher body count, I guess, but it wasn't like the men.
Right.
But like, I mean, it was gross imagining these guys sleeping with 100 women. Like, that is so many fucking women to be sleeping with, so many different partners to be sleeping with at that age specifically. And then, I mean, the thought of that being on a woman is equally gross, but like, it would be unthinkable to like, well, this is going to be a partner that I'm going to bring home to the family. Yeah, she slept with 150 women, 150 men. Yeah, I mean, that's just completely unacceptable for most men. I think that's just not going to happen. And I don't think it's acceptable for women to have a man who slept with that many women as well. But it's just not regarded as disgusting. It's celebrated. Like, this show was like celebrating these guys and all the women they've had sex with.
So what I'm hearing is you're a prude. That's what
Yeah. No ankle, no ankle, only stockings. I mean, whatever. You have sex with as many people you want, but like to brag about it and like to have 15 men on this show, and
Sure.
they've all slept with over 100 women. I don't believe it.
Well, no, and I think the thing that men don't get when they lie about stuff like that is like if you just so me, the first thing I do is go to math, and it's like, so you've had sex with a new woman every month since you lost your virginity. Like, is this some like club that you've joined that you've ordered? You ordered the Lady of the Month club or whatever? Because I just don't buy that these guys that I think the biggest red flag for me that it's a lie is if they're tactless enough to say such things, then they probably didn't fuck 100 women, because
Right,
100 women would not have said yes to such tactless people. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't have a problem like if a woman sleeps with 100. People go through phases. Whatever. If I was a very good looking woman and I had the sex drive I did when I was younger, I probably would have slept with 100.
I 100. Trust me, if I were 22 and I could have slept with 100 women, I would
Exactly.
100% have done it. Yes,
That's the thing. It's like I'm not gonna judge anybody. Like it's all about where you're at now, and I think that's what the manosphere doesn't get. They always, I think the thing that I've heard is they stupidly, because they don't understand anatomy or anything, they think like their vagina wears out, and it's like, I mean, I think there's a lot of reasons that they don't like this in their minds, but like they're like, well, they have their fun and they destroy themselves, and then you just get the leftover. These beta cucks, they get the leftovers, and when women are young, they go for the alphas for the fun, and then they go for the betas for the money later on. But I just don't. I think that's a very simplistic kind of narrative that's very stupid. Like I've definitely met, like when I was younger, I definitely had plenty of friends that like lady friends, because I was mostly friends with ladies, that would go fooling around, or they'd make their terrible choices and had their fun. And then like it wasn't about choosing a beta. It was about like, I don't want a bunch of shitty guys anymore. I want to find a nice guy that treats me well. And by the way, I also want to find somebody that's great in bed. I'm not just like fucking around and then like settling down for money. They're looking for, an actual relationship. But like I really just, I don't know, I can't throw too many aspersions at this point. I think when I was younger, I might have thought about it a little bit differently. Although I obviously was friends with somebody that we were competing, so not too much differently. But like, if somebody was just really active and having a ball, like, all right. I don't know if bragging as an adult makes sense, but
yeah. I can say that when I was younger, I definitely thought about it differently than I do now. Because
yeah,
if a woman had a lot of sexual partners, I'd be like, no. Like, I would have had the same sort of toxic response. I mean, I would have been aware of the contradictory amount of women that I had slept with, and been like, and known like, well, yeah, it's the same. Like, it's okay for me, not okay for you, sort of thing. I would have been aware of it, and I probably would have changed it. I don't think most of my partners had many more or as many as me. I don't know what that was, but I guess my issue now, I mean, I'm not shopping around for a partner, obviously, but like to be with a woman or to be with a man who's had so many sexual partners, I don't think there's a problem having sex with lots of partners. I don't think it's a problem at all. My thing is why? Why did you sleep with so many people when you were young? You know what I mean? Because for a man to do that, like for me to do that, I had all kinds of psychological issues. And I've got a list of reasons why it's a red flag. One of them, a big one for me, was validation seeking. I was looking for someone to prove to me that I had worth,
Sure.
or that I was loved, or that I'm a man, that kind of thing. Like, why did I need that? What was missing in my life that made me pursue women in that way? You know what I mean? And a lot of it's biological. I mean, we're there's a reason we can produce children up until we're dead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Other things would be, I don't know, peer pressure. Like, am I easily peer pressured? I wasn't, but like, arguably you could say you could. The society is saying you're not a man if you haven't slept with any women. And you can regard that as peer pressure. Why am I so easily influenced? I mean, for women, it's a whole other bag of why they're sleeping with so many partners that I really haven't analyzed. But there's something there, and it would be a red flag for me as well if a woman had slept with so many partners, at least at a young age. I mean, you take the expanse of someone's life. If they slept with X amount of people, like whatever, that adds up, and they've been single their whole life. But yeah, for someone to be young and to have had dozens and dozens of sexual partners, my question is why? And that's the issue I would take with it as a mature man now. It's
Sure.
like, why did that happen?
So I will answer you as a mature man now
Okay.
and say that if I were, and I would never I love my wife. I would never cheat on my wife. I look forward to a long life with just her. But if I were beamed back into my 22-year-old body and I was single, I'd still probably want to have sex with a lot of people. Like
I would too. That's the thing, man. I would too. And my question remains, why? Like, why
so
though?
The why for me would be like when you're single and it doesn't hurt anybody and stuff like that. For me, it's like, I don't want to just eat pizza every night. Like I want to try, like, people are different and you learn different things from different people, and like sex with different people is very different. It's one of the things that I've always really, like, whenever I was talking to other men that didn't know what the fuck they were doing, like, the biggest advice I would always give them is like, pay attention to your partner, because like women are wildly different, and some women really like one thing and some women really hate that, and vice versa. And like, paying attention to women is like the best way to figure out what they want, aside from just talking to them and,
Right.
asking them. But like, the variety, it's interesting, it's fun. I mean, if you're young and you're into it, I don't know if and you're like, you don't have hangups on sex and like what how people are gonna value. I don't think it's necessarily like what I was doing where we were in like a competition. That was not healthy.
Yeah, sure.
But like, if you're having fun and it's like for you and you're not like, I don't know, wearing a banner that's like, "I fucked all these people," whatever. I guess that's kind of where I land on it. But I don't know that that's what is happening most of the time. But like,
that's what I don't think it is,
Yeah.
though. That's my thing, though. Is I think for a lot of men, it's a status thing. They're like,
Yeah.
they want to be able to say, I've had X amount of partners.
Sure.
They say it to men, they say it to women, and like, if you weren't allowed to ever talk about the amount of women you've slept with, not you, but like men.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just kind of riffing right now. I haven't really given it any thought, but I would bet men would not be pursuing sex the way
Sure.
we do now. I mean, I think it would still be like a thought for sure, obviously, but like, I don't think it would be as urgent as it was when I was a young man. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. No, I definitely think like a lot of the young men, it's like validation seeking from other men.
Yes.
And it's
yes.
like, man, if you're having sex with women to impress other men, you're pointed the wrong direction entirely.
right. Yeah. Well, but I mean, it's also like, I remember being young and like telling women like how many women I've slept with as if they're going to be impressed. You know what I mean? Like that was
Yeah.
something that like was a show of masculinity to like all genders.
Yeah. See, so I had a different experience. Like so one of my long relationships when I was young was with a woman that had just gotten out of a 10-year marriage, and she'd only been with this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a learning experience. For one, I did have, like, for my age, especially being 10 years, I was 10 years younger than her, or 8 years younger than her, or something like that. I had a higher body count considerably than one,
Right.
And it was not something that was impressive for her. And on the flip side, in that young mindset, I was like, oh yeah, one sounds good. That's not a lot of competition. Like,
that's good.
but like, it was also, I learned, really sad because she had never had an orgasm.
Oh,
like,
holy shit.
And it's just like, no, man, I think, it's a good thing to have a couple people under your belt so you can figure out what you like. And
100%, man.
Yeah. Like, I think if you're just like uncontrollable, there's an issue. But also on the other side, like, if you're saving yourself for marriage, that doesn't work out so well sometimes. Sometimes it could. But like, I don't know. I think there's you got to find your happy medium somewhere.
Yeah, you're really rolling the dice if you're just waiting.
Yeah.
and I get the idea. Like it's especially for a woman, it's like a very intimate experience. I mean, it is for
Yeah.
men too, but like, I mean, without getting graphic, like it's invasive, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like they're really letting their boundaries down.
Yeah.
No, how else to put that. Okay, so
Letting you in.
yeah. So okay, if we're looking at body count, those red flag. A couple things here that would be out of reflective of maybe deeper issues. As I said before, would be validation seeking, treating sex as proof of status, masculinity, self worth. But it can lead to insecurity, competitiveness, the need for constant external approval, objectification, and I think that's a big one for men. I don't know that women like encircle themselves with other women and objectify their body count with other women. You know what I mean? They don't talk about men as objects the way men do with women. And I think that's a huge red flag in relationship to body count, because it observes women as numbers rather than or achievements or conquest, like you said. And it could lead to, as they grow, if they're young, especially a lack of empathy or a lack of emotional intimacy.
Right.
Poor respect for boundaries. And this is where I think it can be dangerous. If a man specifically if his main objective is to increase his body count, have sex with as many women as possible, he might not take no for an answer, or he might regard certain behaviors as coy or shy or something like that, and misinterpret it. I think specifically of a one Bill Cosby. I remember listening to an interview with him and him talking about how he knows how to read a woman, and he knows when they say no, they actually mean yes. Like, that's horrifying. And I don't know if his body count was his objective, but like, if you're trying to increase your numbers, you're reading a lot of no's as yeses, I think, or certain behaviors as potential green lights when they're not.
Yeah, so this is one of those things where I think back to Goodhart's Law. I always think back to that, where like these guys, for whatever reason, their measure has just been to have someone under their belt. And like, that was never like as fun as me and this person played with our numbers. It was neither of our objectives. Our objectives were to enjoy sex. And, and like, enjoying sex is hard to do if the other person isn't there enjoying it with you. If you're tricking them or you're manipulating them or doing something
or
that they don't like, or pressuring, like, that's not cool. That's not fun. I want that other person there, like, whether you're in love or not. I want that other person there connected with me and enjoying it, whether it's on an emotional level or a purely physical level or whatever. I want them into it, because like, it's not like if you play a game, right? Or you play a sport, like you play tennis. It's not fun to play tennis with somebody where you're just crushing them and they don't even give a shit. Like, they're just like reading a book and you're like, I got another point while you were reading your book. Like, you want a participant. Like, that's part of the experience, No,
that's actually a pretty nice analogy, I think. I have to reflect on it. But it's,
it might be terrible. We'll see.
So I guess another trait that it could reveal is commitment issues. If they're jumping from partner to partner, they're clearly not committed to one person. That could lead to infidelities even. Like I said before, peer pressure mentality. Men absorb social messages that masculinity equals sexual success. And the last one I think is a big one is risk taking. Jumping from partner to partner, that's not always safe.
Sure.
Whether it's like because of disease or because of just putting yourself in an unsafe situation, even.
Sure.
It could also translate into financial risk taking or just career risk taking, all kinds of other risk taking behaviors. I don't know, thrill seeking, impulsivity. There's a lot of things behind that. So,
yeah, I definitely say that I've had my issues with being impulsive or thrill seeking in the past. So
same, yeah.
That fits.
We're really dredging up some toxicity in both of us in this one.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's a mix. Like I definitely was interested in my body count. I wasn't so interested in women's body count, which I think is the big red flag. And like, but I also wasn't just trying to get. Like, numbers was fun, but it was like I wasn't just trying to get numbers at any cost. It was really, I don't know, something else. And I also feel like there's a time in your life where you just, as long as you don't have those commitment issues and eventually you do want to settle down, like there's a time in your life to go fuck around. You know, and just be safe and be respectful and
Yeah,
like yeah,
that's it. Yeah, have fun, don't hurt anybody.
yeah.
All right, Skip, we got any green flags?
Yeah, I think I have green flag, and I think this is something that I've mostly seen in men, not so much in women. Maybe women with other women, but not so much women with men, if that makes sense. Men with men and men with women, but not women and but yeah, not women with men. So, and that's that they have their own opinion. So
Yes.
like where you're on a date and somebody's like, "Oh, I really love this band." They're like, the men are like, "Oh yeah, I love that band." And they don't. They don't like that band at all. And
Right.
keep your opinion. You don't need to like what's the phrase? Yuck their yum. You don't have to
Sure.
like badmouth shit. But I want somebody that actually is there with me.
Mhm.
Kind of going back to the sex thing. I want somebody that's there to play. I want them to be themselves.
Yeah.
And like if you don't like something, just be like, I don't like that.
I think the opposite would be a red flag. If you're just a yes
Yeah.
man, to me, it's like, whoa, like you're not really showing me who you actually are because you're agreeing with everything that I like to like
Yeah.
get into my good graces. You know what I mean? Or to, I don't know, ingratiate yourself into my bubble.
Whether it's gamesmanship or lack of confidence or whatever, just like, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I want that genuine human being with me. And like I've definitely like I said, I don't know how often I see women do this for men, but maybe it happens. But I definitely know men do that shit to like get in good with women where they're just like, "Oh,
I've
you
had
like
women
that?
do
Yeah,
that.
I love that too." Oh, you have?
Oh yeah, I've had women just like overly enjoy the things that I like, where I don't believe that's the case. They're just sort of like moving the friendship or
Sure.
relationship or whatever, the romance along. You know what I mean?
Well, I will say there's a differentiation between like having your own opinion and like taking an interest in things that other people have an interest in.
Oh, sure, yeah, that's healthy.
You
That
know,
and
that
that's yeah,
that's that's cool. That's a
yeah,
good thing. But yeah.
yeah, I agree.
But just suddenly being like, "Oh yeah, I've always loved Primus," you know? It's like, yeah.
Incidentally, Skip, I have always loved Primus.
I might be able to name 2 of their songs.
Oh, dude, I have
But
like 6 of their albums. I saw them in concert in
oh,
like
really?
'97. Oh yeah. No, I'm a fan.
They're they're the Big Brown Beaver people, right?
They are. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a fun song.
they got that was their most famous song, but yeah, they're talented. They're a good bunch.
Yeah.
Anyway, completely off subject.
I don't know them. I don't know their work.
Well, I'll have to send you a playlist or something.
All right, so that was mine. What's you got a green flag for us, mister?
Yes, I do, and that is if a man has it was so having patience, and specifically if you're observing, having patience with children, animals, elderly people, someone under pressure or stress, or somebody maybe who's disabled. You know what I mean? Like how they respond
Yeah.
to these individuals, I think, is absolutely a green flag if they're kind and they're patient with them. I have one experience. I remember having an English lesson in Prague at Starbucks, and they had a man who worked there who was mentally challenged, I suppose. And but he would clear your table if like you're there. But what he would do is he would reach across like armpit in my nose and like ask me if he could
Yeah.
take.
Yeah.
He would say like I take, like that was the extent of his English, and he would
Yeah,
if he
yeah.
could take something. And like in the beginning, I was perfectly fine with it because I was recognizing the situation. But like it happened so often because I'd always have English lessons there that I remember one time reacted like I wasn't rude or anything, but there was impatience all over my face. And I remember
Yeah.
my student at the time was not impressed, and I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you have to understand, like this is like they got to train this guy. You know what I mean? Like to like not to not reach across like that. And yeah, I still think about that to this day. I'm like, oh, that was a yuck moment for me. That I wasn't ugly to him, but my response was I wore it on my face.
But
But
I think that's the green flag is that it was a yuck moment for you and you think about it. Like I can think about those moments in my life too where I'm like, I'm so disgusted with myself right now. And
yeah,
like I hope that I and like learning from that. I don't know if
right.
it's necessarily, great that either of us obsesses about something decades later,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like to at least care enough to like kind of note it down and be like, oh, that's not a great look. I gotta change that. Yeah. Yeah. And I'd add to that like also the reaction of those groups, children, animals, to those people. Cause I remember when I was young, babies and animals loved me. And like, I remember getting feedback several times from people being like, that's a really good sign. And just kind of like, whether it was because it was about me or whatever, like I've kind of internalized that where I'm like, if like a dog or a child just immediately doesn't like somebody, I got one eye on them.
Sure. Yeah. What? I'll give people a little bit of grace because kids can be iffy and dogs,
Sure.
you never know. Like I remember being afraid of like some men when I was a kid because they just looked scary. One guy, my uncle's friend, looked like Dracula, and he just scared me.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's a nice guy. I don't know how I don't remember him, growing up, but like he was a scary guy when I was a kid. But
Maybe I'll retract kids. Maybe what I meant to say was babies.
okay, yeah,
Because
yeah,
kids can be fooled real easily. I've definitely
sure,
known plenty of kids that loved total dirtbags.
that's true. That's true.
If you've got candy, kids love you.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, dogs and babies, they don't know any
Yeah.
better.
And there have been like serial killers that love dogs and that love animals,
yeah.
and they're like really good to them.
True. So yeah, no, I'll completely retract that. Never mind. That's terrible.
Okay.
Terrible advice. No flags at all. Well, Carlos, it's our favorite part of the show. What's your joy this week, or joys?
I have one joy this week. I mean, I have many joys, but I'm going to keep it simple and short because usually I ramble on. When we bought our house the year before last, come springtime, we bought it like in the early fall. And come springtime, as things are blooming and trees are developing leaves and stuff, there's like this it's heavily landscaped. Like we did nothing, and it's going to get unruly soon if I don't get out there and start weeding and shit. But like, there's this mat of like vegetation like right in front of the house, and I had no idea, but come springtime, it blooms. And so it's just like this mat of pink and white and purplish flowers. And it is stunning and beautiful. And this is the second year I've seen it. And I look forward to seeing it every year now. And it's just lovely. And so much so that one of my coworkers, she knows where we live. And she was like, oh, she's like, those flowers in front of your house are so beautiful. She passed by our house twice just to look at them. And they're short-lived. It'll last maybe 2 weeks. But it's really, really pretty. And it brings me joy.
I love that look for you. And that's for me, a green flag is men that like flowers. I actually, when I got divorced, I started buying myself flowers every week.
I remember you doing that, man. That was a choice and an expense, but lovely, dude. You were doing that well past your divorce, I think.
Oh, I did it for years and years because I was just like, you know what? I like seeing these flowers. It brightens my day when I walk into my kitchen and there's flowers, and like, yeah, I deserve it. And
you do. That left an impression on me and Jody, actually.
Yeah, I probably should get back to that. It is an expense, though. It is.
Yeah, they're not cheap. Yeah. They're not cheap at all.
Yeah.
I went into a greenhouse yesterday at the grocery store. They have like just a big greenhouse, fruit plants and stuff, springtime. And oh man, I was just hit with a wall. It was just flowers everywhere, and it just was so fragrant and just pleasant. And just, yeah, I really, really like it. It's nice. I'm not a huge flower guy, but like it was just really pleasant to go in there and just like be bombarded with in the senses,
Yeah.
So what's your joy or joys this week?
Let's see. I've got like a what is it? What's it? The double-sided, double-edged,
diarrhea. Diarrhea.
No, I got diarrhea. That's my joy. Love it. Exploding in the bathroom. No, so I've got kind of a double-edged joy. One of my joys this week is double-edged, which is that I've been listening to Democracy Now!, which is, it's great to have access to a lot of things that a lot of mainstream news doesn't cover very well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know that there's stuff going on in Gaza, but like they cover it kind of in depth and other things. It's also infuriating.
I know, dude.
Which is the downside. But it's not like none of this stuff is in the mainstream news. Like, when the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act in like Alabama, the governor declared a state of emergency to change the thing. But they're playing the quote from the governor, and he's like, well, the Supreme Court said our maps were illegal, so we had to stop and do this, and 45,000 people had already cast their vote. And I'm just listening to it, going, you motherfucker. They didn't say that your maps were illegal. They said that you could fuck people more.
Yeah.
And your state of emergency, you disenfranchised 45,000 people, not because of anything illegal, but because you were like, holy shit, I can fuck people more. I can take more power away from people, and people that are already voted, I can steal their votes and not allow it. Like you put the state into a state of emergency because you weren't fucking people enough. So like that's the double-edged thing. Is like I am enjoying hearing like their news clips and actually like some in-depth reporting on things, but it also is infuriating.
I innocently, when you said it's a double-edged thing, I thought it was a double-edged joy. Like you had a joy on one edge, and then you had a joy on the other edge.
No,
like, what's this gonna be?
No. But I will give some like just straight up joys here. So one is that I've been having shoulder problems, and like before that I had sciatica and like things like that. I was starting to have like this hip soreness, and I finally got into the doctor to orthopedist, and it was just like quick as a whistle. The guy came in, and my appointment started when it was supposed to start. He did a sonogram of my shoulder real quick, sent me to an x-ray, and then gave me a shot of corticosteroids that I have been looking for decades in like here whenever something's wrong, and they just never give it to you. It's always like PT and bio T and shit like that. And the guy he just was like, okay, gave me a shot, and like my shoulder's already starting to feel better. My hip doesn't hurt. Like I'm like, oh my God. Thank you so much for just like, I had one shot when I was a teenager because I had a shoulder problem then. And like, I was good for 30 years, man. like, can I just get one of these things? And so I've been trying to do that for years now. And like this new guy, he was just like, oh, here you go. I didn't even ask for it. He was just like, I'm just going to give you a shot. Okay. So I was just thrilled with that. And then the last few days I've just been working on puzzles, and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
You reminded me though. So I went to, this was about a year ago. It was 3 like energy workers that were all like joined forces, and one of them did like, I don't know, spoke to her guides, and the other one did like energy work, and the other guy, he was an energy chiropractor. I'm like, what the fuck is that? But they were doing like a 20-minute session each, so I went there for the hour.
Yeah,
and they were all fine, but the energy chiropractor guy, he's an older guy. And I'm laying on, I don't know, I had no expectations. I had no idea what he was going to do. But he was like, like a Mr. Miyagi sort of thing, rubbed his hands together and like, put his hands over my different parts of my body. And he was like, and I tore my rotator cuff in my right shoulder when I was like 26, and it's just been plaguing me ever since. And he like pointed to it. He's like, you've got an imbalance right there. And he like pointed to my shoulder. And like he had me stand up, and he was smaller than me, but he was like, arms over his head almost, and like shaking my shoulder around. And he'd stand back and he'd look at it, and then he'd like get back in there. I haven't had a problem since, dude. Like it's
nice.
And like to where like I don't even have it. When I would rotate my arm, I don't have it clicking. It's gone.
Beautiful.
Anyway, give it some thought. I'm sure there's some energy healers in the Czech Republic.
Yeah. Oh, there definitely are. My first ex here was getting into Reiki when we
you told me.
up.
Yeah.
And the very last thing is, it's a couple days early, but happy birthday, Jessica.
Happy birthday, Jess. Yeah.
Happy birthday, Jess. In a couple of days.
Nice.
Thanks for joining us. New podcasts every Wednesday. And if any part of this show has resonated with you, let us know at outsidethemanosphere@gmail.com, Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. Please like, rate, subscribe to the podcast YouTube channel, or recommend us to a friend. Hasta la pasta.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah. So I was just a slut, but
dude, me too, man.
I mean, I definitely turned plenty of people down. I will say that.
I don't think I turned a lot of people down, man. I was just I was a numbers man, and like,
okay.
but I never was like, I never objectified anyone. I wasn't ugly like that, but
Yeah, I will say, like, I mean, as much as I was interested in numbers, I definitely did turn down a fair number of people. But
I turned,
that's
I turned down in the Czech Republic, some advances only. I never turned down
yeah.
I've never turned down sex. I don't think but I've definitely turned down women who were, I mean, usually because I had a girlfriend or something, like who were interested in me. I didn't want to cheat or whatever, but
Yeah.
yeah, Czech Republic, there was a lot of, I've batted away some pretty direct advances.
Oh, I still remember. I remember in high school, a girl, and she had a boyfriend. She's one of these ones I talked about last time who they'd broken up and gotten together, I don't know, a dozen times
Hmm.
and just wasn't. And like she called me over one day and we were outside. She's like, you know, we were talking, and her and her friend. She's like, and I'd have sex with you. And and I said, thanks. And I left because I had a girlfriend and I'm not a cheater, you know? And then like, geez, it must have been a year later. She was like, she came back to me and she was like, and by the way, when a girl tells you that she would have sex with you, you do not say thanks. I
Ah,
was like,
you're like, I knew what you were saying.
yeah, I know, but I was trying to be respectful as possible to everybody involved. There's a lot of editing for Carlos today. La 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 la. Do-do-do-do-do.